All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Daily Palantir. We are here. It is Monday, June 26th, 2023. 2020. I always sound like a baby every time I say that, bro. I don't know why, but it just happens. Technical Trader Wong, what's up? Broccoli Bob, hello. Nijam to the moon, hello, hello, hello. We've got a lot to talk about today. Lots of news in the world of Palantir. One of the main things I want to cover in this video is defense tech spending. I did a separate video on this and it's going to come out tomorrow, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the core things that I'm seeing in the space that are really interesting. I want to talk a little bit about the price action, and then we got a couple of other things that we got to go through today in the world of Palantir. Growth Stock Wizard, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Jared, hope you are doing well. ET Feast Time Home, Shareholder Meeting Club, Ayo. Shout out to those with hedges in the market. Yeah, if you got some puts, you're not doing too bad. The market actually let's take a look at it. The market went up today for like some stocks. For other stocks, it didn't go up. Just typically what always happens in the stock market, right? But for some other stuff, we saw different stuff. Ray, what's up? Adam, what's up? Shareholder Meeting Club. Yes, Jeff, Can, John, Sarge. What's up, baby? Thank you all for being here. All right, so let's take a little bit of a look at the price action. I didn't get to do the morning open today. I'll be back tomorrow with the morning open. So didn't get to see kind of how stocks opened in the market in the open, but I do know that things went up. I took a little look at my portfolio as I was driving. Don't recommend doing that, but sometimes you got to see how the money's doing. And things were up. Palantir, $14. We still have an hour and a half left to go until the market closes, about an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll see if it stays at 14, but it ran up a little bit today to like 1440, something around that range, 1430-ish. And then obviously came tumbling back down in the 13s. In the pre-market, it was, in the pre-market, it was also up at like 1410. So kind of stuck within that $13 to $14 range. Is this the consolidation range for Palantir? No idea. Do I think it has the potential to be the consolidation range for Palantir, given my purely qualitative analysis, non-technical analysis? Maybe. And the only reason I say maybe is simply off this idea that, there's not a major catalyst to sell it off outside of earnings being bad, which is a little bit far away. There's not a major catalyst for it to go up outside of the AI market continuing to roar. And if this bad boy doesn't go up, Nvidia at 406 today, down 3%, then it's going to be hard for Palantir to go up. It's going to be hard for a lot of other companies that benefit off the AI craze for them to go up. Now, one article I also want to pull up here, and I want to take a look at some of the other stocks that we had in the market, is the AI spend becoming incredibly large for a lot of companies and how much they're spending on AI. This is an article published by CNBC, a new study 3 days ago. So I want to talk about the implications of this article as well in the context of Palantir and what that means. Because if more executives are spending money on this tech, then that means Palantir is going to be in the conversation. Let me just do one quick thing on this, and then we will start. I have to do this. Okay, cool. We're good to go. All right, so let's take a look at a little bit of the rest of the market, and then we'll go from there. Roku, Robinhood actually just announced layoffs, 7% of their workforce. That's why it's up a little bit after hours, 969. Market's probably going to react to that more tomorrow in the morning. Apple, 185. Tesla had a pretty bad day. Tesla down 6%. The reason this happened is because of Ross Gerber doing Ross Gerber things. I don't know if you guys saw that letter. We talked about it on Finance Junkies last night, but that video that the dude put out with Dan O'Dowd was just like, it wasn't good for Tesla. FSD is probably going to be fine in the future, but that video particularly was not good for Tesla, regardless of however you want to spin it. And so the market tanked today. I also think this could have been a little bit more Mac related. Oh, it's under 240 after hours. Look at that, 239 after hours. So definitely was not buying Tesla at 270. Didn't make sense to me. The run-up was really high, just like I thought Palantir at 16 didn't make sense to buy because the run-up was very high. So, we'll see if we get a bigger pullback. And if we do, I will finally get some Tesla shares. Again, I was in Tesla, sold it to get some options on some other companies. So I will re-enter the Tesla position. I believe in Tesla. Just the run-up was a little bit too much going into the 270s. I got 100 shares of SLG at 22. We'll talk about SLG more tomorrow on the market open, but SLG, man, the deal they announced today of selling 49% of one of their buildings at a $2 billion valuation when the company itself, the stock, is at $1 billion market cap, 12 billion assets under management. Their book value is $65 a share. They're at 27. They got down to 19 at one point. Nothing has really changed in terms of their assets under management. But what this deal secured today as a legitimization to shareholders is that they're likely not going to be re-rated because if they got re-rated, that book value would go from 60 to 32, which is still up from 27. But if they're not getting re-rated because New York City is different from San Francisco or Boston, where commercial real estate is kind of dying, at least right now, then SLG might be a really awesome play with a nice dividend every month as well. Missed you this morning, Doug C. I missed you guys so much. I hated not having to do it, but just wasn't able to do it today. So still super fun to be here right now, and we're getting into some stuff, and I will be back tomorrow. Okay, so here's the article I want to go through right now. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but just going to give you kind of my quick take on it. And then I have a video coming out tomorrow that goes a little bit more deeper. So the Financial Times came out. Oh, by the way, you guys want to know something? All right, so I'm going to let you guys in on this, the 113 people here that are here, because the person who messaged me probably isn't watching, and if she is, then hello. This lady messaged me who works at Fast Company, and she's a journalist for Fast Company. And she was like, hey, I'm doing this piece on Palantir and the fandom ? Around the stock. Could I talk to you? Now, I went through, I'm not going to say her name, but I went through this lady's, what do you call it? I went through this lady's history. But let's actually talk about this for a second. Then we'll get into some of the defense spending news, okay? So I went to this lady's history, because usually when a mainstream media company wants to cover Palantir, it's because there's a Peter Thiel allocation to Trump. There is a evil spy company sort of framing to it. There's these guys are like the worst people in the world. They're like blah, 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 white supremacy, but like just absolute nonsense, right? Like stuff where you could argue a third grader has more common sense in terms of being able to come up with a coherent argument versus some of these journalists. She reached out to me. I said, let's do it. Let's talk. I'm going to give her whatever quote she wants. I'm not afraid to tell her about, how I think about the company. I mean, apparently the take she's doing is like why there's fandom, and she put question marks around the fandom of the stock. And so I already kind of had an angle of where she was coming at. She used to work for BuzzFeed News. BuzzFeed News died because that whole division is gone. And so now she's working at Fast Company. And one of the other interesting things is I looked at her article history. And let's just say she's not the biggest fan of Elon Musk. She's not the biggest fan of what he's doing on Twitter. And already, if you're not a fan of what Elon's doing on Twitter, I mean, if you believe in hate speech, good game, man. If you believe in hate speech, if you believe someone is arbitrarily allowed to decide what is hateful and what is not, I think you're already, let's just say, not the smartest person in the world. Let's just say that, So she's obviously a left-wing reporter. I mean, I could tell just scrolling from her articles. I was like, oh, this is the type of person I'm talking to. So I'm expecting this article to not be good on Palantir. I'm expecting this article to be kind of like a hit piece on Palantir. So I definitely want to be included, because I think there is nothing I can say that can be manipulated to turn into a hit piece. I mean, because everything I'm saying is kind of around why I'm excited for the company, why people are excited about the company. And so if it's objective reporting, hopefully if the article is about why people are interested in Palantir, then she takes my words, and I have no idea what questions she's going to ask. She hasn't responded after I responded to her. She's going to take my words seriously, and she's going to contextualize my words in terms of why we as the community are excited about the stock. Now, if she puts a spin on it, then it is what it is. It's going to be very interesting to see how the media covers Palantir, because it's not the Wall Street Journal, it's not Bloomberg, it's not even CNBC, it's not the Financial Times, it's Fast Company, which is not a bad news publication. It's a step up from BuzzFeed News, let's say that. But it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what she has to say. Just be civil with her. Yeah, I mean, look, my intentions are, this is not a debate, nothing hostile, anything like that. This is purely like, if she's going to ask me why I'm interested in Palantir, why there is a growing community of people interested in the company, I'm going to give my answer very straightforward and honestly. And I think there's layers to my answer. And ultimately, we think the company is undervalued, and we think the company has massive potential, and that's why we're excited for the company. And then there's all these other elements you get into. But obviously, there's a unique phenomena in terms of interest in the zeitgeist around Palantir, and it's one of those things that only exists to me in Tesla. That's pretty much it. SoFi can't compare to it, even though I love SoFi. It can't compare. Robinhood can't compare to it. SLG can't compare to it. Enphase can't compare. There's like 2 guys talking about Enphase and there's like 4 guys talking about Enphase on YouTube, and 2 of them I do a podcast with. So like the interest in Palantir is like light years beyond any other company besides Tesla. And so obviously it makes sense why they want to do a piece on them. But my whole take is, just going to be honest with them, and then we'll see how they manipulate it. Either they manipulate it negatively, which they're going to do with my quotes or without my quotes, or they're going to do a hopefully objective piece, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I don't think it's going to be like a recorded interview or anything. I have no idea what she wants to do. I'm pretty sure she's just going to ask me some questions. I'll type out my answers, and that's it. You're having your girlfriend on? No, I'm not having my girlfriend on. It doesn't matter what you say to her. Yeah, look, to me, if the article is going to be bad, the article is going to be bad. My words mean very little in the context of the article. If anything, what I can do is provide context for why there is a community that's excited about the company. And so I am interested. I want to give my quote because I want to see if they manipulate the whole presentation of Palantir. I mean, you can't manipulate what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is we're excited about the company for this. You can manipulate whatever else you want to do about the framing of the company. But if it's an objective piece on why investors are excited for the company, there should be positives to that narrative and negatives to that narrative and kind of make it into a full objective piece. If it's just a purely negative clickbait headline, it will be very interesting to kind of see how it plays out. But I'm excited to kind of talk to her and see what she has to say. 2 billion shares. Yes, I'm glad there's interest because of that. I agree. Yeah, Elon promoting free speech. What a horrible person. I mean, honestly, bro, the people that actually think Elon's doing something bad by promoting free speech, you've like, it's just so hard, bro, to like talk to these people because like they genuinely think that there are certain words that are just like, if you say them, you deserve to like go to jail or some ridiculous nonsense. Like, it's like, are you insane, bro? Are you actually insane to be able to say that people can't say certain words? Now, the consequences of those words, if you say them in the wrong place, everyone's got to deal with them. But the idea that you could be criminalized for saying certain words, I mean, to me, is just beyond insane. It is absolutely crazy. I'm just hoping she's done some bare bone research. I don't expect it. She worked at BuzzFeed News, and that's not a slight at her. That's a slight at BuzzFeed News. They're not really the best at objective journalism. I mean, so let's see. Let's see what she has to say. Hopefully it's not a hit piece, but we'll see from there. All right, so let's get into the article I want to talk about. Financial Times released a piece today. Silicon Valley chiefs urge Pentagon procurement overhaul. This is really interesting. So a bunch of VC firms, including Lux Capital, Kleiner Perkins, General Catalyst, these are companies that manage billions of dollars of capital to deploy to other startups, sent a letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Friday that they want the U.S. government to procure in a different way. They said that the move is an attempt to apply further pressure on the government to open up its huge Pentagon budget worth $886 billion for 2024 to startups backed by leading Silicon Valley investors. So again, the Pentagon budget, $886 billion, I think less than 1% of that actually goes to software, especially defense technology software. And so these VC firms that are investing a lot of money, as we can see right here, U.S. investment in defense startups surged from less than $16 billion in 2019 to $33 billion in 2022. That's a over 100% gain in terms of spending in just 3 years. And in 2023, it's already at $17 billion. This is what Shyam Sankar said the other day, which means 6 months into the year, it's on pace to match what it was in 2022 or exceed what it was in 2022. So if you can see here, 2019 Q1, 163 deals were done at $2.6 billion bucks. Q2, 162 deals, $4.2 billion. Q3, 151 deals. And then it went down as COVID happened, and then it reaccelerated towards 2021. And the height of it was Q4, 226 deals, $13.7 billion. Then it came all the way back down as the market crashed, which is typical for everything. And now it's back up to a high. 2023 Q1, 151 deals were done. $14.5 billion were deployed into defense technology companies. Now, what is the implication on this for Palantir? What do you guys think? What is the implication on this for Palantir? I think it's actually really, really simple. Look, if the guy, and look, the thumbnail that the Financial Times used was Palantir SkyKit, which we haven't talked about a lot. And maybe, I haven't done enough due diligence on SkyKit. I have to learn a little bit more about it. I mean, I watched the video and stuff like that, but I would like to do some more research and see what the potential of that product is. I mean, I'm sure it's just a product they sell to different governments. It's like a upsell, but it's interesting to kind of see what the core use case and functionality of it is. I think there's a couple of implications to this. I mean, obviously, look, if venture capital firms are investing more in defense technology companies, that means they expect there's demand for defense tech, which is that simple, right? Now, VCs can be wrong. They were wrong about crypto in 2021, like dead wrong. And VCs don't invest in crypto anymore. At least most of the core top main Cs don't really care about it. They invest in AI. But usually when VC funding is going to a certain sector, that means that sector has market opportunity that is unique, differentiated, and social is the best example, right? When VCs were pouring billions of dollars into Instagrams, Twitters, and all the other failed apps that didn't become Instagram and Twitter, you got an Instagram and Twitter. And as a result of that, made VCs a lot of money. So that was the time to kind of see, maybe can I get some private shares of Instagram or Twitter? I know a lot of people want private shares of Anduril Industries, which is one of the most amazing companies when it comes to the defense technology space. So if VCs are investing in them, then the question becomes if the U.S. Pentagon budget is going to increase to be able to allocate capital to a lot of these startups that haven't been able to get these governmental deals because the procurement process from the United States is, quite frankly, lazy, lackadaisical, right? Non-meritocratic, political, et cetera, et cetera. That's why Palantir had to sue the army back in 2011. Well, that means there's a bigger market opening up for Palantir. Because if the US says, okay, we're going to allocate 75 billion instead of 30 billion to defense tech, and we're going to take some more bets, Palantir is naturally going to get some more money off of that. And then two, their FedStart product, which they announced a couple of days ago, is going to help a lot of those companies that don't have IL level 6 accreditation to be able to be containerized within Palantir's overall software as a way to package that offering to the DoD, to the Army, to the military, because there's no way you can access any of the money that is coming from the government if you don't have the accreditation and security clearances that a company like Palantir does. And so Palantir has a clear objective moat in that regard to be able to establish a argument. And so, like, to me, defense spending going up from VCs is actually very positive for Palantir. Now, some people have said, oh, doesn't this make this more competitive for Palantir? Because now you have all these startups. You've got all these startups that are vying for governmental capital. And a lot of that government capital that used to go to Palantir now is getting dispersed across a variety of these tech startups. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think, number one, the market is overall getting bigger. So even if the government gives money to more players, a lot of them are not doing exactly what Palantir is doing, right? A lot of it is, drone technology, all this other weird defense stuff. So if you believe Palantir is a moat in terms of the software that they're providing for mission critical use cases, then that's always going to remain. What they're doing with the CDC, what they're doing with the NIH, all these different things. If they have a moat and they have multi-year contracts and they're able to prove their value, and then they're able to re-up on those contracts. The Space Force, they just got $110 million 3 weeks ago, and they were a sole source contracted company, right? That means there was no competition for those contracts. But that means Palantir's moat is not going to dissipate. It's going to accelerate their ability to get more revenue because there's going to be more money in the system in the first place. They're going to know, hey, we can charge a little bit more, or the government's willing to spend a little bit more. Number two, if they become a de facto platform for a lot of the other startups looking to get into the government defense technology budget, because their platform has the accreditation levels and features and essentially security that a lot of these other startups need, then that's another way for Palantir to monetize. And so I think this is only positive news for Palantir, and the competition is not really necessarily competition. Blake, what's up? Thank you for being here. I could see Amit sporting a pencil-thin mustache. He could be one of the few that could pull off such a feat. Thank you, Turkstein. I did get a haircut today. I'm wearing a hat right now, but I did get it all faded up, and it was getting a little bit too much, so had to clear up some stuff. Skykit in Ukraine. Yes, I agree. Skykit is definitely probably being used in Ukraine. To what extent? No idea. But, the stuff that's gone on with Russia over the past weekend was kind of crazy. I mean, for a second, I thought that this Wagner dude, Wagner, bro, that sounds like a mercenary name, Wagner. It sounds like that evil fucking, villain in the, in the Marvel movies, Wagner. Fucking Wagner. So this Wagner dude decides to be like, I'm going to pull a coup. And we think Putin's falling. We think the whole shit's going to shit. And okay, war's over. Putin's out. Boom, baby. And then dude's just yeah, I'm not doing it no more. And it's just the blue balls that this guy gave the entire world, thinking that he was about to overthrow Putin, which I don't know how easy that is because Putin's got nukes and Putin's got a whole military behind him, which might be a little compromised given what's going on in Ukraine. But nonetheless, I thought that stuff over the weekend, you thought it was literally the whole weekend was a nothing burger. The way I understand it, you're all right, everything's cool. Ukraine war is ending. Boom, boom. Putin's out. It's nope, none of that's happening. The dude was just showing off and he's going back. He's marching his ass back home. And it's all right, that happened. So, that catalyst that I thought would allow Palantir to now get into the rebuilding Ukraine stage, it doesn't seem like it's exactly happening because the war is not over. Wagner. Okay, Wagner. Instead of Wagner. LOL gonna nuke himself. Bro, you can't put that behind Putin. He might do some shit he has to do. But it was just nothing happened and you thought something would happen, but he wasn't. He may have a baby face, but he can destroy Fast Money Lady. Again, I'm not trying to destroy her. For those who are just joining, this lady reached out from Fast Company. She wants to talk. They're doing a piece on Palantir. I looked at her articles before, and a lot of her articles, let's just say, are Vice-esque articles. So I don't expect the best, but I'm going to give whatever analysis I can give on why I'm excited for Palantir. I think the article is about why there is a following behind this stock. And the thing is, if she writes some stupid article, she's just going to be embarrassing herself because the community's at the point where we're going to look at it and be really, that's the best you can do. It's old stupid articles on Tesla back in 2019. So I'm actually excited for what questions she has to answer and if she gives out an objective piece. But if she doesn't, Then we're going to see what she says. Amid, she reached out to a bull, not a bear. Yeah, but I agree. And I would argue that her article then theoretically could not even bullshit bears, but present Palantir in a positive way. And again, there's nothing wrong presenting Palantir in a negative way. It's it's the defamatory nature of what a lot of these media companies try to do with Palantir that is the really annoying part, right? It's like you could have a bearish article, no one cares. The only reason I grilled the bear cave dude and had to send him back into the fucking cave, I had to do what I had to do, is because he was spewing bullshit. I mean, it was absolute nonsense. It was like pure bullshit. It was like dudes trying to sell Substack subscriptions, and he picked the wrong company to fuck with, quite frankly. So that's the only reason I had to do what I had to do there. But in the context of someone writing a bearish article, go ahead, write a bearish article to your heart's galore. Write a bearish article. But if you present an article that like there's some evil spy company trying to manipulate your data, that's when it's like, this is a bad narrative. It's an old narrative, and it's not a good narrative. So. Carp is a leftist. She probably likes Palantir. That's the other thing. Carp makes it very confusing. Carp's a socialist. He's a socialist. So it's like, it's kind of hard to be like, I hate Palantir when it's like the dude's a socialist. So he has a paradoxical nature to the libertarian kind of ethos of the company, even though I would argue the company is not only libertarian, it is very progressive in terms of its work within the government, but it has libertarianism in terms of protecting civil liberties at like the foundation of its philosophy. That's why Palantir is such a unique. I mean, I've done some videos on this. It's probably time for an updated video, but I believe Palantir embodies the philosophy of libertarianism and collectivism in one. They value absurdism, which is a philosophy by Albert Camus, an existentialist, and self-rationalism, which would be Ayn Rand's philosophy. And I have some of these videos in the works of like talking about how Palantir as a company matches the philosophy of a lot of these key figures that have had a great impact just in terms of literature and culture. But it's a hard company to be able to stereotype in one way because there's so much that comes through them. Carp is a lefty. Time to sell. Yeah, bro. I think Carp would vote for Bernie Sanders. Maybe. I mean, from an economic perspective, he would vote for Bernie Sanders. I don't know if Bernie Sanders, well, probably not, because Bernie would decrease the defense budget, so probably not. But if Bernie was going to increase the defense budget and he's a leftist, Carp will probably vote for Bernie. He would absolutely not vote for Trump. He's gone on record. I mean, have you guys seen this video of Carp talking about Trump? Let me play this shit on YouTube. Alex Carp, Donald Trump. I played this. I actually put this in my video, but no, here's hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Alex Carp, Peter Thiel, Socialist, Amit. I did a take on this a while ago. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to show you guys this right now. For those that haven't seen this, Rice Cream, what's up? Thank you for being here. This is the video. So this is the video I did, the paradoxical philosophy behind Palantir's leadership, Alex Carp and Peter Thiel. And then this is the clip where Carp talks about Trump. So let's look at this. Oh, it's already shared? Okay, cool. Here we go.
I've had the rare opportunity to meet Trump, which I turned down. Like, I mean, this is off the record, but like, I don't respect, like, I respect nothing about the dude. Like, you could almost make up someone that I find, it's hard to make up someone I find less appealing.
Now, I don't agree with everything Donald Trump has said.
This is Peter Thiel's view on him.
And done. And I don't think the millions of other people voting for him do either. Nobody thinks his comments about women were acceptable. I agree, they were clearly offensive and inappropriate. But I don't think the voters pull the lever in order to endorse a candidate's flaws. It's not a lack of judgment that leads Americans to vote for Trump. We're voting for Trump because we judge the leadership of our country to have failed. Now that someone different is in the running, someone who rejects the false, reassuring stories that tell us everything is fine, his larger-than-life persona attracts a lot of attention. Nobody would suggest that Donald Trump is a humble man. But the big things he's right about amount to a much-needed dose of humility in our politics.
As you can see from those videos, both of these guys think about... All right, so obviously we've got some different perspectives, right? We got one guy that's like, I don't respect this guy at all. And then you got Thiel, who's like, this dude is saving American democracy. Now, I think Thiel's perspectives on Trump have changed primarily because Trump didn't really execute on a lot of the stuff Thiel wanted him to execute on, particularly economic issues. I mean, he lowered taxes, but outside of that, like he had this whole America First agenda, didn't really live up to it. to the extent that Thiel thinks. It's not my beliefs. I don't have an opinion left or right about this, but Thiel, he's been saying like, Trump is not the guy he thought he was. And that's why Thiel's kind of stepped away from politics going into this election cycle. It'll be interesting if Trump wins the Republican nominee, if Thiel is going to endorse him. I think, gun to my head, I don't think Thiel does, because I think he is liking that Palantirs not being associated with Trump as much. And as soon as he does, Peter Thiel, 50,000 articles the day Peter Thiel gives an endorsement will be written about Peter Thiel endorsing Donald Trump, because he's a big, big figure in the media. They tear him up, they build him up, all that stuff. And Peter Thiel, first investor in Facebook and co-founder of Palantir Technologies, endorses Donald Trump. That'll be the headline on everything. And so remember when he endorsed them in 2016, Palantir wasn't public. They were not a public company. They were a private company. And I think the blowback Palantir would get, especially with the commercial products not being as developed at the time in 2016. In fact, their commercial products kind of sucked in 2016. Would not matter what Thiel did. Now, I think some of these deals, in order to get them, you might have to be a little bit more apolitical. So, it would be interesting to see what happens. I don't even think Carp would say some of the stuff he said about Trump or any political administration as vigorously or explicitly as he did back in 2015. Because in 2015, he really had nothing to lose. They were still, they were trying to build the company. Now you've got shareholders, bro, and you say some crazy shit and that stock drops, and like a lot of us are going to be kind of upset. So I'd rather my dude just don't say shit. A lot of them to not say stuff. One thing for sure, Trump was good for the country and the economics. Yeah, I mean, look, that's your opinion. Some people have different opinions, right? Like that's the whole nature of politics. That's why politics is so interesting. And obviously Thiel and Carp disagree. I'm just curious about if Trump wins the Republican nomination, are they going to endorse him? And I don't think it's going to happen. And if they do, then maybe they've got a plan in place to get the Trump administration to spend a crap ton of money on Palantir, and that's why they're endorsing him. Because if you do endorse him, bro, a lot of these CEOs, these C-suite 500 executives, they're liberal, and sometimes they just might not want to do business with you because you're openly endorsing the guy they don't like. And so I think we all as shareholders can recognize to just not get into that world. Why don't you invite the journalist to a Daily Palantir episode? You have a platform. Why agree to her when you can bring her? Well, look, man, the thing is, this journalist is, you got to remember, these journalists in these media companies, CNBC, Financial Times, etc., they're not interested in being on my platform. They're not building their brand. This is actually really important to understand. A lot of these journalists are building a company's brand. They get paid a salary from a media company. So for me, I try to build the Emit brand, and the Emit brand is tied to Palantir and content and stocks and finance junkies and all that stuff. So more content for me is awesome. This reporter doesn't really give a shit about Palantir. She wants to do a piece on them, and then she'll do another piece on something else. So there is no value to her. What questions am I going to ask her, right? There's nothing important to kind of go from there. She's doing a piece for her company, and her company wants to put out a piece. So the value for me is that if that article gets a lot more attention, which I would argue it should, because it's in Fast Company, which is a pretty big. Let's actually see how much traffic to get. That's the value of me giving her my comments. And again, I'm just not afraid of anything they would do with my comments, because my comments are my comments. I'm going to say, if you don't want to ask me the questions privately on the record, look at the 1,000 videos I've done on YouTube, and there's your quotes, right? So anything I say on YouTube will be the same stuff I say privately. It's just a question of how they frame the article. And I'll be curious to see if they frame the article positively or negative. 6.3 million views. So they get 6.3 million hits a month. Not insane, not a little bit. They were at 1995. Let's go to their website, Fast Company. They've been around for a while. I mean, I've read some of their stuff. It's interesting. It's a magazine, that's what it is. So they're looking for clicks. I mean, just look at the typography of the font. I mean, this is one of those things that's trying to be hip. They're trying to be cool. They're trying to get clicks. Right. Let's see if there's any revenue. Fast Company revenue. So, I'd be happy to give her my quotes. It's just going to be interesting how they do revenue. Fast posted this is a different company. Fast Company, 10.4 million revenue. That's probably an estimate, but this one says 911 million. Yeah, 10.4 million is way more reasonable than 911 million. Yeah, 15 to 25 million. What we spent to bootstrap our $17 million, but that's an article on someone. Yeah, so they do, they have reach. So it'd be interesting to see kind of how they frame the Palantir debate or the Palantir article. Kevin, my camera did not come in today. Did not see it today. I went outside twice to look for it, but it did not come. Shout out to Kevin. He's sending me a camera. He's sending me a 4K camera from his shop because my camera dies every 40 minutes. So he wanted to send me a new one. So we'll see if it's a good camera, but it did not come in yet. She wants to own the narrative, not actually learn about the community. Yeah, I mean, these people always want to own the narrative and do that type of stuff. So it'll just be interesting to kind of see how she frames it. Give me 1 sec, guys. Okay, cool. So that was kind of the big news I wanted. Was there something else I wanted? Oh, yes, this thing real quick. I'm going to do another video on this later, but let me pull this up soon. 4K bricks. Yes, basically 4K bricks. This article, this headline, I think is really interesting. I'll be talking about this a little bit later tomorrow, but AI is now the biggest spend for nearly 50% of the top tech executives across the economy. That was a CNBC survey that was done. So 47% of top technology officers across the economy and companies, seeing both chief information security officers and CTOs, say that artificial intelligence is their number one budget. That's according to the biannual survey of top tech executives. Just under half of these executives also say that breakthroughs, including generative AI and ChatGPT, will create more jobs than they destroy. So what does this have to do with Palantir? Again, at a surface level, if AI is the biggest spend for 50% of executives across the entire country, then they're going to be looking for tools to safely implement AI infrastructure, but also integrate something like an AIP, large language models that are trained on data that is secure, confidential, etc., into their companies. And that's where you got Palantir. That's where you got the market opportunity. That's where you got the demand. That's where you got the growth story, all of that stuff in order to be able to go. What's the name of the reporter? I don't want to out the name of the reporter yet, but I will say the name of the reporter later. Let's just say the articles I've seen she wrote are very like liberal. Liberal in the sense of, I don't even mean politically. I just mean like, you know, she thinks, you know, we should have policies against hate speech or some shit. And I'm just like, okay, all right. If you think me saying a word requires me to be banned from a platform or something, like, look, I agree. You shouldn't upload porn to YouTube. I agree. There should be content moderation. But the idea that you say something and it hurts someone's feelings and therefore you are de facto not allowed to speak, it's not the way society should be structured. It's just not the way. And so if someone thinks like that, you know, you have an inkling of where they lie. I mean, she doesn't like Elon Musk, obviously, right? I'm not saying you have to love Elon, but she seems like one of the people that doesn't really like Elon. And I'm like, the dude is fucking trying to get us on Mars. He's trying to save the planet from climate change. You don't like this guy? Okay. Interesting perspective. But yeah, so it'll be interesting for that. Amit, can you explain what Palantir's Alex Carp says when he says Palantir will get all of the AI market? Yeah, it's very simple, right? This is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll be out for today. Carp's argument around taking the market is that if every company in the world is going to need some type of AI strategy in order to remain competitive, because currently they don't have a strategy to remain competitive in the marketplace, just like every company needed the internet, every company needed advanced project management tools, et cetera, in the 2010s, then that is Palantir's plan, to give all those companies their software, let them use it, see the value, see how it integrates within their entire business, see how it builds an ontology for them, see how it's not siloed tools for sales, marketing, and accounting, but it all comes together in one place, see how it accelerates the capacity for the business to actually generate a profit and save costs, and then say, hey, it costs $10 million, right? So when he says we don't have a pricing strategy, our strategy is just to take the whole market, his argument is we have the best product in the AI space. There's going to be a handful of companies that win. There's going to be a handful of companies that can implement it in a safe and meaningful way, and in a way that actually allows the architecture to be transformational over the long term. And we're one of those companies, and it's going to be a handful of them. But if we're one of them, then we're not going to charge you up front. We're going to let you use the product. You like it? Okay, pay us later. And when you pay us, you're going to pay us a lot of money. And so that's the strategy in a nutshell. Now, will it work? We don't know. That's the fun of this whole journey. Can they execute on the go-to-market? Hopefully. But as of now, that is their goal. And if they're able to figure it out, then it's going to be pretty big. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Amit, did you read the Yahoo Finance bearish article on Palantir? I did not. I will check that out today. Didn't have a chance to see it, but I will check it out a little bit later. When are we getting a 24-hour live stream? Soon. Soon we're gonna figure out something to do for 24 hours, and then we're going to do the live stream. I'll figure it out eventually. Thank you, guys. Sorry I couldn't be on the morning stream today. I will be at the morning stream tomorrow. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you tomorrow on another episode of Daily Palantir. See, Kevin, this is why I need the camera, because this one keeps dying. So, all right, everybody. I'll see you guys later. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Oh, Finance Junkies tonight. We have a Tesla bear coming on the show, and he's going through his whole model for why Tesla's overvalued. It'll be a fun episode. See you guys then.